Welcome everyone to Whimsy Woven Stories. Here, we explore gripping tales of real-life twists. Join our storytelling community.
Throw away, of course. About 6 months ago, I noticed an undershirt folded up in my dresser drawer. The weird thing was that the label wasn't from any of the brands that I have. And there was only one of that kind. I tried it on and it clearly didn't fit me. I assumed that it was an old shirt of mine that somehow got brought out of storage and tossed it. 2 months later, I find a pair of men's jeans, clearly not my size, folded on the top of the dresser. This was after I was at a conference for a few days. The conference was in my town. But I was gone from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. pretty much every day. I asked my wife about it and family who had visited recently. Nobody had any idea where they came from. I started to suspect something was up. But decided that it was in the best interest of my relationship to just ask once and then trust my wife's response. I tossed the jeans and moved on. This morning I found a men's polo shirt hanging in my closet. Not my size. And it says brand from a store that I don't shop at. And haven't even stepped foot into for nearly a decade. This, only days after I returned from an out-of-town work trip. I confronted my wife demanding answers. She claims that she knows nothing. I started by asking her why she thinks I'm upset. She jumped straight to "You think I'm cheating?" I asked her to put herself in my shoes and try to explain how else I could interpret this pattern. Me being gone. Men's clothing showing up in my house. She never answered the question. We went back and forth. Never screaming or throwing things for about an hour. With the shirt lying on the table between us. I kept saying that I don't know is not an acceptable answer. She ended with "or what?" I said that I needed answers one more time and got straight up from the table and left to go back to work. Historically, I do trust her. But I can see how easily lies come out of her mouth when speaking to her family. Over seemingly small things. She grew up in an overbearing household and she knows how to cover her tracks. During the conversation I asked if I could go through her cell phone. Something I have never done before or even tried to do. Of course, nothing of note. Something is happening. The pattern is clear to me. Am I overreacting? How should I proceed? Edit. Thanks for the insight, folks. I've been internalizing all of this and trying to remain objective. It's easy to jump to a conclusion about cheating. And yes, the evidence does seem damning. There is some advice in the comments about next steps. And many with differing perspectives on what else could have happened. This has certainly helped me step back and assess the situation more clearly. We had a multiple-hour-long conversation. She called my in-laws about the clothing. I called my folks with the same questions. I was given her phone to go through again. I even did some digging with the ISP to get connected devices and websites. Texts from cell, etc. No answers anywhere. At the end of the day, I chose to not blow up my entire life. Walk out. Lawyer. Take the kids and run, and instead chose to proceed with caution. If she is cheating, she knows she is going to be heavily scrutinized and will eventually be caught with actual evidence. If not, I avoided destroying my family over nothing. Lots of you will disagree with me, I'm sure. But this is my life and there are nuances at play here that haven't been and won't be shared. Some relevant comments. Is the mystery man just leaving the house no longer wearing pants, or are some of yours missing? Why would mystery man leave with no pants on? That's weird. That's my thought too. Doesn't make sense. All of the items combined make one full set of clothing. There's a dichotomy here. You say she very capable of covering her tracks, but also you keep finding some other dude's clothes in your house. The obvious answer is she's cheating, but is there a chance she's effing with you? Gaslighting you into a divorce. What does she stand to gain? I don't know. Financially it's a bit equal. Although she stopped working recently to take care of our child full-time. I agree that it's sloppy to leave clothing around. It adds up to a full set. So maybe John Doe came in with a bag and left a set on accident. I find others people's stuff in my house all the time. We have a lot of visitors. I think I would need more proof. Last time we had visitors was before clothing showed up, months ago. The clothing would not fit any of our guests. I know everyone keeps saying she's definitely cheating, but women aren't stupid. You honestly think a man is leaving his entire wardrobe and neither he or she notices? Him leaving without jeans. Her folding up clothes she knows aren't yours. You have no children or family members that this would apply to. My thoughts here as well. The clothing wouldn't fit anyone in either of our families or our child. Honestly, I could see the folding of clothes happening. She just puts on the TV and goes to fold. The colors are close enough to clothing I have that she could easily not notice. The size and brands are the only differentiator. Update. Summary. 3 instances of a random dude's clothing in my closet. In my dresser and on my dresser. I suspected cheating. Resulting in a confrontation with my wife and no explanations anywhere. I left off on Tuesday calm. Accepting that there had to be something more to the story. The last thing I wanted to do was blow up my life for no reason. Lots. About 75% of folks instantly jumped to cheating. Which is understandable given the context. The other 25% either thought it was fake or needed more info because the idea of folding. Hanging clothes in the closet of the person you're cheating is so outlandish. Which is also understandable. I was committed to finding answers that would prove my wife's innocence. And eventually, we did. Out of all the 7.5 million views and 7K plus comments. The one thing we all missed was the possibility that the clothing had been donated to us. Which turned out to be the case. My wife is thrifty. And baby clothing can be expensive. One of the ways we've curbed this cost is by frequently browsing social media marketplaces. Looking for people cleaning out their closets. During this process, it seems that some folks included more than just baby clothing in their donations. After some digging, we eventually found the previous owners of both the pants and the polo shirt. And confirmed that they did indeed come from them. The last 2 days have been an emotional roller coaster. The silver lining in all of this is that we both stayed calm, cool, and collected during the exchanges. Thanks to everyone for their input and supportive DMs. Edit. Yes, we really do get all of our child's infant clothing secondhand. Most of it hasn't even been worn yet. If you don't have kids, it might sound hard to believe. We also receive these clothes in bulk. Like garbage bags full of baby clothes. So not everything is immediately visible or noticeable. And it just gets tossed in with our normal laundry. For those who still doubt, I was the one who did the digging on the donations. And sent pictures of the clothing to the previous owners. Both confirmed that the items were theirs. Sorry if you think it's fake. But maybe it's time to step away from the internet. Story 2. This has been an ongoing issue in my family for a while. But now that the wedding is coming up, everything has come to a head. I, 50 male, have a daughter, Emma, 26 female, with whom I've always had a very close relationship. I've been married to my wife, Emma's mom, Laura, 49 female, for 30 years now. We've always been a solid family. Or at least, I thought we were. Here's the backstory. A couple of years ago, Emma met her now fiancé, Tom, 28 male. Things moved fast between them. And she quickly fell head over heels. We were happy for her at first. But something changed about a year into their relationship. Emma became distant from us. Especially from her mom. Laura and Emma used to be really close. But all of a sudden, Emma started snapping at her for little things. Avoiding family dinners. And not sharing much about her life. Then, we found out why. About a year and a half ago, I overheard Emma and Tom having a conversation when they didn't know I was around. Emma was saying horrible things about her mom. Things that truly broke my heart. She told Tom that she couldn't stand how overbearing her mom was. That Laura always tried to control her. And that she felt like Laura was jealous of her life and success. She even said she resents her mom for putting so much pressure on her when she was younger. I was floored. Laura has always supported Emma in everything. From helping her through college to providing emotional support during tough times. I never saw this coming. Instead of addressing it right away, I wanted to wait and calmly talk to Emma later. When I finally brought it up with her, she completely shut down and got defensive. She accused me of taking her mom's side and claimed I didn't understand what it was like to grow up with someone who was always in your business. She said some very hurtful things and stormed out. After that, she pretty much cut off communication with her mom. Except for minimal contact during holidays or family events. Laura is heartbroken. I'm angry. It's been a mess. Fast forward to now. Emma's getting married. She called me last week to ask if I would walk her down the aisle. But here's the thing. I don't feel right doing that when she's treating her mother like this. Laura isn't even invited to the wedding. Emma said it would make things too uncomfortable if her mom were there. I told Emma that I can't walk her down the aisle if she's excluding her mom, who has done nothing but love and support her all her life. I said that until she makes things right with her mom, I won't be part of the wedding. Emma was furious. She accused me of choosing mom over her. Said I was ruining her big day. And claimed I was punishing her for being honest about her feelings. Now, she's threatening to go no contact with both of us and I'm torn up inside. I love my daughter. But I can't stand by and watch her treat her mother this way. Am I the idiot for refusing to walk her down the aisle? Some comments. I think you need to find out what happened between your daughter and her mom a year and a half ago. This didn't come out of nowhere. Did you ever find out what your daughter meant when she said her mom always tried to control her? That seems like the key to understanding her reaction. You need to look at two possibilities and fairly. Take love out of the equation here. Either your wife was overbearing to your daughter, and you completely ignored or accepted it as normal, which is a strong possibility. Or Tom is the problem and is isolating Emma from the people she loves. But that seems less likely, since Emma is only not speaking to your wife. If Tom were pulling the strings here, she probably wouldn't be speaking to you either. Another sign of abuse could be if Emma is also abandoning her friends. You need to consider that your wife may be the issue here. Update. I didn't expect my post to get this much attention. And honestly, I'm still trying to process everything. Things have changed a bit since I first posted. And unfortunately, it's not for the better. I tried reaching out to Emma again, hoping we could work things out. But what I found out has only made the situation worse. Here's what happened. I sat down with Emma to calmly explain how much this situation has been hurting her mom and me. But she wasn't open to it. Instead, she told me she's asked Tom's mom to take on some of the important roles at the wedding. That would normally be Laura's. Like helping her get ready on the morning of the wedding. And giving a speech at the reception. When I asked Emma why she didn't want her mother there at all, she gave me a few specific reasons that, frankly, felt more like excuses. First, she said Laura tends to make everything about herself. And she was worried Laura would cause a scene or try to take the spotlight. Emma brought up how, at her engagement party, Laura made several comments to the guests about how hard it is to let go of your little girl. And kept trying to give a toast. Even though Emma and Tom had planned for only the best man and maid of honor to speak. Emma said she felt embarrassed. And that was one of the reasons she feared Laura would try to control things on the wedding day. Emma also claimed Laura has a habit of undermining her decisions. For example, when Emma first started dating Tom, Laura expressed concerns that things were moving too fast. And Emma felt Laura was trying to influence her choice in partners. This is a sensitive topic for Emma, because she feels Laura has never fully approved of Tom. And that tension would ruin the day. Hearing all this was hard. Laura may not be perfect. But the idea that she would intentionally make Emma's wedding about herself, or try to sabotage the day, is just unfair. She has only ever wanted to be there for her daughter. And I know Laura has been nothing but supportive. Even when she's had concerns about Tom. When Emma told me that Tom's mom, Sandra, would be filling these roles instead, my heart broke. Laura has dreamed of helping Emma on her wedding day since she was a little girl. Being uninvited was already devastating. But hearing that Tom's mom is taking her place in these intimate moments feels like a complete betrayal. It's not just that Laura is being excluded. It's that someone else is being given the role she should have had. I tried telling Emma that this would only hurt her relationship with her mom further. But she doubled down, saying she needed people around her who supported her decisions and didn't make her feel guilty. She's convinced that Tom's mom understands her better and is more in tune with who she is now. It was a gut punch to hear that, especially knowing how much Laura has always supported her. As for walking her down the aisle, no, I haven't changed my mind. I can't be part of this wedding when Laura is being disrespected like this. It feels wrong to stand by Emma's side while she's treating her mother this way. Especially when Laura has only ever tried to be there for her. I'm not sure where our family goes from here. Emma is now saying she might cut contact with us if we don't respect her boundaries. And honestly, I'm heartbroken. I don't want to lose my daughter. But I also can't stand by and let her continue to treat her mom this way. Thanks again for all the support. I'm still trying to make sense of everything. And I guess only time will tell how this plays out. Relevant comments. Clarification. Laura brought up that Emma may be moving too quickly in her relationship with Tom. How quickly? When did they meet? When did they start dating? When did they get engaged? How fast are we talking here? Emma and Tom met about 3 years ago. And things got serious pretty quickly. They started dating just a few weeks after meeting. And within about 6 months, they had moved in together. Laura expressed concerns at the time, feeling like it was all happening a bit fast. Especially since Emma hadn't been in many long-term relationships before. Then, around a year into their relationship, Tom proposed. So, from meeting to engagement, it was roughly a year and a half. I think Laura just wanted Emma to slow down and really get to know Tom before making such big life decisions. But Emma took it as her mom trying to control her. Surely you aren't paying for the wedding. No, we're not paying for the wedding. After the fallout between Emma and Laura, it didn't feel right to contribute financially to an event that Laura isn't even invited to. Emma and Tom have been handling the costs themselves, which I think has only added to the tension. If things were different, we would have been happy to help. But given the situation, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm glad your daughter finally found a family that seems to really care about her. To suggest that Emma finally found a family that cares about her is completely unfair. Laura and I have always loved Emma deeply. And that's exactly why this situation hurts so much. Laura is absolutely heartbroken. She's been crying ever since Emma started pulling away, which has been going on for over a year now. It's been devastating for both of us. Laura has always been there for Emma, supporting her in everything. So to be pushed aside like this is incredibly painful. We want nothing more than to rebuild our relationship with her. But the way she's treating her mother is simply wrong. Story 329M got cheated on by 32F wife. When Jake, 29, married Rachel, 32, he thought he had found his forever. 3 years together had given him a sense of security and trust in their relationship, despite the ups and downs. They had weathered some storms, but nothing could have prepared him for the revelation that shattered his world 6 months into their marriage. It had all started a few months before their wedding. Rachel had gone on a trip to visit an old friend in another city. She had mentioned the friend in passing, someone she had known for years, but had assured Jake there was nothing romantic between them. At the time, Jake had believed her. But then, during the trip, she confessed to having gone on a date with this friend. It was a confession that had stung, but Rachel had insisted that it was just a friendly outing, nothing more. Jake had been upset for a few days, but in the end, he trusted her. He let it go. After all, they were about to get married, and he wanted to start their life together on a positive note. Fast forward 6 months into their marriage, and something began to change in Rachel. Jake couldn't quite put his finger on it, but her behavior had shifted. She seemed distant, her gaze often wandering when they talked, her laughter a little too forced. It gnawed at Jake, but he didn't want to seem paranoid. Maybe it was just the stress of their new life together, he thought. Everyone went through rough patches early in marriage, right? Then came the text. Jake was at work when his phone buzzed. It was Rachel. "There's something I need to tell you. I've been hiding something from you." Jake's heart stopped. He could barely breathe as he read the words on the screen, his hands shaking as he typed a response. "What do you mean?" The minutes felt like hours as he waited for her reply. When it came, it was worse than he could have imagined. "Remember the trip? It wasn't just a date. We went back to my hotel. We slept together. He stayed the night." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. The room around Jake blurred, and the air felt thick, like it was suffocating him. He reread the message over and over, hoping he had misunderstood, hoping it was some terrible mistake. But it wasn't. Rachel had cheated on him, and she had lied about it for months. Jake wanted to scream, to throw his phone across the room, to run out of his office and never look back. His mind raced with 1,000 questions, but none of them had answers. Why had she lied? Why had she gone through with the wedding knowing what she had done? And worst of all, why did she wait until now to tell him the truth? That night, Rachel came home with tears in her eyes. She tried to explain, but Jake couldn't listen. He could barely look at her without imagining her in bed with someone else. The images invaded his mind, tormenting him every time he closed his eyes. He couldn't escape it, and it was eating him alive. Rachel begged for forgiveness. She swore it had been a mistake, that she had regretted it the moment it happened. She claimed she had cut off all contact with the man after that night, that she had never wanted to hurt Jake. But her words fell on deaf ears. Jake didn't know if he could believe anything she said anymore. For the next week, Jake walked around in a fog. He couldn't focus at work, couldn't sleep, couldn't even bring himself to talk to his closest friends about what had happened. How could he? How could he admit that his wife, the woman he had loved and trusted, had betrayed him so completely? Every time Rachel tried to reach out, he pulled away, his mind replaying the images he couldn't banish. She suggested couples counseling, and for a brief moment, Jake considered it. Maybe it could help. Maybe they could work through this, rebuild the trust that had been shattered. But how? How could he move on when he couldn't go 5 minutes without picturing her in bed with another man? The thought of it made him sick. Jake knew he was at a crossroads. He loved Rachel, or at least, he thought he did. But love didn't feel like this. Love wasn't supposed to be a constant battle with his own mind, a war between the desire to stay and the overwhelming urge to run away. How could he forgive her when the pain was so raw, so all-consuming? And even if he did forgive her, would he ever be able to trust her again? Sitting alone in their quiet apartment, Jake stared at the wedding photo on the wall. They had looked so happy that day, blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing beneath the surface. Now, that moment felt like a lifetime ago, a snapshot of a life that no longer existed. He was torn between two paths. On one side was the life they had built together, the memories, the promises, the love that still lingered in the corners of his heart. On the other side was the crushing reality of her betrayal, the lies, and the haunting images he couldn't shake. Could he stay? Could he somehow find it in himself to forgive her, to move forward and try to rebuild the broken pieces of their marriage? Or was the damage too deep, too irreversible? Jake didn't know. All he knew was that he couldn't continue like this. Something had to change, and soon. Whether that meant walking away or finding a way to heal, he wasn't sure. But one thing was certain, his life, his marriage, would never be the same again.
Thanks for listening. Share your opinion in comment section and also do like and subscribe to the channel.